We have a special guest today, and I am so proud and happy that I get to actually introduce you by your birth name, Hayley Paige. Hayley's coming all the way to us from Florida, and you have quite a story, Hayley. And before we get into what you've been going through over the last 4.5 years, share with us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you got into the career and industry of your choice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's a pleasure to be chatting with you today. My background is mostly in design, specifically wedding dress, magic. And in the last few years, have been involved in a legal dispute where I was under a non-compete restriction. So I went into the women's specialty shoe space and launched a small business over there. And recently, I have gotten out of that legal dispute via a settlement, and I now have my name back, and I've got my personal Instagram account back under Miss Haley Page, and then I'm no longer under a non-compete. So a lot of good news kind of piling on top of each other. So I'm in a very happy place and just excited to make up for lost time.
And you used to be on the show Say Yes to the Dress. That's correct?
Yes, yes to the dress. Amazing experience, and yeah, maybe someday again. We'll see.
So, and I know that from your story, you had spent what 10 years building up your brand, your designs, and in that's the social media following that you had created, it was significant. And so what happened that ended up putting you in the position to be in the legal dispute that you've been in?
So I was 25 years old, and I received an opportunity to ring lead my own bridal collection, and that came alongside an employment contract in which I gave the rights for my name to be trademarked, which was the name of the bridal collection I was designing, which is also my birth name. And years later, that contract, came into play in a very interesting way. And I wound up in a legal dispute where I actually could not use my name. And then I was under the non compete, and I also was separated from my Instagram accounts. So there was a lot of dynamics at play. And ultimately, for me, going back to that chapter of being a wedding dress designer for over 10 years, I had actually come from a company called Priscilla of Boston, and I worked on a Marchesa license. And so my whole life had really been dedicated to women's dress wear. And so, the legal dispute really did alter the trajectory of my life in a lot of ways. And hindsight's always 2020, of course. But now that we're kind of on the other side of it and there's been a real resolution, it just feels very positive. And I'm excited to kind of take the things I've learned along that journey and really apply them. It's always good to learn from your mistakes and move on from things that, just shapeshift, I guess.
Absolutely. And so just ready to move past that chapter of life into this new chapter. And you got into the specialty shoe designing. And the name of that is She is Cheval. So can you tell us about Cheval? Like what does that name mean? And how did you come up with it?
Cheval is the French word for horse, and it's not every day that you think of a new way to identify. And in my case, it was a really strong move forward for myself, and I chose to see it as a creative expression. So, what I really love about it is that it's actually the masculine pronoun in the French language, and I'm such a girly girl, so I kind of liked that playful balance, especially in a new brand. It felt very brazen and like I'm running against the wind and finding a new way to create. And I also studied French couture in college. So I've always been romanced by, the French interpretation of things and draping and design and embellishment and hand crafting things. So that's where Cheval was born. And then now I think there's going to be a fun opportunity to kind of weave the two brands together with Haley Page and Cheval. And I'm kind of considering dropping the She Is just so that it's Cheval. But, everything is kind of in flux. And I didn't anticipate being in the position I'm in right now, but I'm just welcoming it with so much gratitude for sure.
Absolutely, so much amazing potential there. I can even see it myself. I have goosebumps for you. And so happy that you're now in this position to be able to. Everything happens for a reason. And I feel like in your case, what started off in such a devastating, dark maybe space for you. Where did you get the strength in that position? Where did you pull your strength from? That would be otherwise extremely devastating for anybody else going through that.
I definitely have a lot of faith and gratitude, and those are just practices in my everyday that I think go a long way. I'm also a very physical person. I grew up a gymnast and an athlete, and so I love working out and just like using physical exercise as a way to kind of de-stress and center myself. And, I really relied on those things when I felt like, okay, psychologically, I need to be very strong and resilient and tolerant during this time. And, I think we all have a responsibility in our own choosing of happiness. And a lot of times when things happen to us, we can really go to a place where, okay, this is going to slow me down, or this is going to debilitate me, or this is going to do XYZ. And sometimes it's great to think about not labeling it a certain way and just giving yourself a moment to react and respond the way you want to. And while a lot of the last few years were really challenging and sometimes a bit scary for me personally, I am such a happy person and I really love creating. And so I was still able to do that in some capacity. So I always kind of focused my energy there.
Love that. Love that so much. Well, and through this, you also created and developed a nonprofit, a charity organization. What tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So A Girl You Might Know Foundation is a nonprofit 501(c)(3) that is set up to provide resources and advocacy to young artists and entrepreneurs and designers and anybody that kind of is in that artistic realm that may eventually come across a bigger contract or need legal advice or some kind of confidence curriculum in negotiating. And so while we're not lawyers, we do have a great Rolodex of legal advocates. A lot of big law firms provide pro bono services or affordable services. And I just remember when I was young, I didn't really know how to approach or breach those contracts or figure out how to bring those concepts to life. And I would have benefited from something like this, I think. And so now that I've kind of had the experience I have, I want to be able to spill the secrets and hopefully navigate or map out other alternatives so that artists can feel supported.
I love that. And I think that's so beneficial because there's so many people out there who may come across this and you don't know what's going to happen in your life. You might get hit with something just as you did out of complete left field. And just that this is a source of information and there's somewhere that they can go to, that's providing a tremendous amount of help for people that would have otherwise helped you for sure. So, so grateful for you for doing that, for in the midst of you going through that, you had the foresight to be able to think about and other people who could be going through that as well.
Thank
You're an
you.
amazing person. And you kind of shared a little bit about what the future holds for Haley Page and Cheval. Like you said, it's all in flux. I think that there's just so much potential for what it will turn into. I just know it. And if there's any advice that you have for women out there, what would you share with them?
My goodness. I think a lot of times my advice is really directed toward artists and entrepreneurs just because of the business that I'm in. And so a lot of times I try to encourage people to maintain their excitement for their craft no matter what they're going through because inevitably there are going to be these moments where either a mistake is made or there's a big setback or a circumstance is not in your favor. And I think that it's a true testament of your, creative fortitude and your inner gift that you can still hold on to that when the road gets rocky. And I think on the other side of the coin too, when you start to really experience a lot of success or you have these really big high moments in your career, that you can also keep in touch with your own humility and just a sense of being grounded, so that, you're not putting yourself on a pedestal where people can no longer relate or feel like they can't connect to you, or it's not like it's a balance, but I think it's important to kind of always keep both sides of the coin moving for yourself, because it can always be worse, it can always be better, but what we choose in that moment and how we want to be is more important than what actually happens to us.
Love that so much. You have such a positive mindset and outlook on life. And something my husband always shares with me is there's a solution to everything, even if we don't always like those solutions. So that over the course of our relationship has helped me in moments where I might feel like there's nothing you can do. Just take a step back and breathe, and there is a solution if you look for it. And so you have done that, and I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that everything is coming out on such a positive side, and grateful for you taking the time out of your life that I'm sure is just insanely busy and exploding with all of the things that you have planned, to take the time and be here and contribute to the Women of Strength platform and this podcast. It means the world to me. Thank you so much, Hayley.
You're so kind. Well, thank you for the support. And I'm so excited for you. So when is your next big pageant? Like, when should we tune in, or how can we follow, your journey?
The national pageant for Mrs. America is going to be held at the end of August. So this coming August at the Westgate Hotel in Las Vegas. And so the Miss for America Strong will be on August 26th. The Miss American will be on August 27th, and then the Mrs. America will be on August 28th. So those 3 days, and there will be links, and of course we'll send that out to all of our family and friends. But we are gonna definitely give it our best. Nevada is got laser focused on nationals.
Oh, well, that is so wonderful. Congratulations to you. That is just so thrilling.
Thank you. And I have a pair of your beautiful shoes here that I
Oh my
love.
God. I was just going to ask you what your size is so I can send you some.
Beverly
Right
Hills,
in
what
that color.
no, I love these shoes. And I wanted to share with you, I um my sister-in-law Holly. So I first heard of you through Holly. Holly is the founder of what's called Bougie Cakes, and she makes these beautiful floral cupcakes. And I think she won something through you guys. So she got a pair of the black unicorn slippers. And she said, "You got to meet Cheval. She's amazing. She'd be a great person to interview for your podcast. But you let us know the next time you're in Las Vegas, and I know she would love to make you your own cupcake, your
Oh
own
my
specialty cupcake."
gosh. That's so
And
sweet. Yeah, I feel like we're Instagram friends now, and she won one of our giveaways. So I'll be in
yes,
Las Vegas in September. So
oh my
I
gosh.
would
Well,
love
I'm going to
to.
give you our contact information, and we'll all try to get
Ooh,
together if you have the time.
fabulous. I'd love that.
I would love that too. Thank you, Hayley, so much for your time.
My
You're
pleasure. Keep in
have a
touch.
good. I will. I will. Thank you.
Okay.